Hello to all of you dear audiences of the Elixir of Awareness channel all over the world. In this episode, we're going to talk about the main ideas of a book entitled On Courage by Mr. Jeffrey Scar. Most of the stories of great courages that we constantly hear in the film industry or the world of literature and media are both inspiring and paralyzing at the same time. It's inspiring because it shows how man can reach a high moral position. And of course, it's paralyzing at the same time, because we ordinary people are told how these great courages are beyond our power and limits. And if a picture of bravery is formed so big and unattainable that only the unique and special people can reach it, then it will be a great injustice to the human being and the world. According to Mr. Jeffrey Scar, the most important virtue in the world that every human being can experience and cultivate in themselves is courage.
Don't forget to like and click the subscribe button for more weekly updates on mental health and self-development. Thank you.
Many philosophers in human history considered courage to be the most important moral virtue and believed that all moral virtues revolve around courage. But why is courage so important? This is because we must first be courageous in order to acquire other moral virtues. For example, if our efforts to be honest and generous disappear as soon as we face obstacles and difficulties or temptations, it means that we didn't have these moral virtues from the beginning. That's why courage is like the backbone of morality. Mr. Jeffrey Scar believes that if we give courage only to a certain number of people, then we deprive numerous other people, not only of courage but also of other moral virtues. In fact, if courage is only limited to a few people, the society won't go in the right direction. Mr. Jeffrey Scar believes that until courage becomes a general virtue, no good work will be achieved in any society. Actually, courage is the ability to do what we need to do, despite fear. Courage isn't equal to not fear, but it means to act despite the feeling of fear. And in fact, this makes the most beautiful picture of a portrait of a human being. A person who's both aware of the depth of the danger and aware of their own vulnerability, and isn't disinterested in their fate, but nevertheless does the right thing calmly and without worry. And this isn't possible unless we meet fear. An old Persian proverb says that fear is the brother of death. Courage means jumping in spite of fear. Courage is a path and a process, and we can't define courage as an inherent and separate attribute. It can be said that courage is the process of gradually overcoming paralyzing emotions. And the sense of doubt and fear is pervasive and natural in all humans.
Don't forget to like and click the subscribe button for more weekly updates on mental health and self-development. Thank you.
But an important question is, how can a person overcome their fear in dangerous situations? There's an interesting dialogue in Shakespeare's play Macbeth. In a part of the play, Macbeth panics because of his failure, and Lady Macbeth tells him, "But screw your courage to the sticking place, and will not fail." The idiom simply means be firm and resolute and don't lose your courage. And actually, Mr. Jeffrey Scar borrows this concept from play Macbeth and talks about it. He explains that courage isn't something that appears automatically and for no reason, and it requires effort and determination. And the most important thing is that we must build our courage and not just wait for it for someone build it for us, but how to build courage. The solution is to strengthen the motivation weakened by fear with another motivation. Mr. Jeffrey Scar believes that the realistic path of doing brave things in people's lives is usually full of doubts. And only the strengthening of another motive can build the sense of courage. For example, some things such as our values, our moral principles, the meaning of our life, our attachments or our identity, and most importantly, our logic. Contrary to the general idea, courage isn't an irrational and uncalculated act, and it can be based on logic. The author of the book, Mr. Jeffrey Scar, believes that paying too much attention to avoiding anything that seems hard and associated with uncertainty literally destroys human identity. That is, fear is placed in the center of human consciousness like a curse, and it destroys the entire identity of a person from the inside. But why? This is because people who are too afraid to face hard challenges spend their entire lives in reacting mode. And when you examine their lives, you'll realize that action, which is a kind of definition of a living being, doesn't exist in their lives. But how does fear paralyze us and conquer us like a curse? First, fear slowly conquers the central point of human consciousness. And in the next stage, it makes a person avoid hardships and possible dangers throughout their life. As a result, all those dangers and fears become the focus of our identity, and all those things that we try to escape from in the outside world conquer us from the inside. Courage is based on logic, because it's somehow the key to human freedom and salvation. Mr. Jeffrey Oscar believes that throughout human history, there's always been a wrong idea that we need to correct. And that wrong idea is that courage has always been considered a male virtue. If you study the history, you'll realize that people have always considered bravery to be an exclusive quality and only worthy of men. For example, if Venus, the goddess of love, is the god of protection for women, then Mars is the god of protection for men and the god of war and braveness. Mr. Jeffrey Oscar explains that in the past, power structures mostly recommended passive virtues to women, such as patience and forbearance. And it seems that courage was only reserved for men. There's a very important point here. And that point is that the most important thing parents can teach their children is courage. Because this can be very effective in the personal and social life of children. There will come a day in every person's life when nothing will remain in a person's existence. The moments when we're desperate and our entire existence becomes silent and frozen, the only voice of our parents can either save us or perpetuate the situation. In fact, the question that you, as the parents of your children, should ask yourself is, what souvenirs did you leave for your children for their tough days? Courage or fear? Actually, if we want to summarize the whole idea of the book in one sentence, we'd say try to be courage and also give others courage. Now, the ultimate question from you is, have you ever done something brave? Please share your comments with us. Thank you so much for staying with us until the end.